and I won't be too long because I do welcome this bill too as well. It's innovative, and I will just bring up a couple of points that I find here. I suppose my father would have been a rate collector, and I always remember rates were on every property, whether it was the property tax at the time. But the one thing I always remember was the two amieties. And the thing about it too as well, Minister, not every business is able to afford to pay it in the one go. And and sometimes you have to look at that. The size of the business might be able to cater for it. So I think you should put that into it too as well. Don't disregard the two amieties that are there. They're there to help small businesses. Just a quick query, Minister, with regard to if you own a property and I have a long-term lease from you, I go wallop, and that property is vacant, who then pays the rates on that property? Because according to the legislation, it's me that's paying it, but I've gone wallop. Right, I just want to know about that. I do like the idea of a power to limit annual rates evaluation. I remember I've been on Kildare County Council back in the early noughties, and they wanted to put, I was always arguing, it shouldn't go above the rate of inflation, which is about 2%. The authority came in and says we should put it up by 10%. Right, to my mind, that is adding on to the cost of the consumer buying product afterwards, and it was adding on to the inflation too as well. And I do welcome this idea, Minister, that you will be able to use the whip on local authorities which decide to abuse the commercial ratepayer out there. The key thing I want to talk to you about that, it has to be consistent around the country. You can't have it 1% in Waterford and 2% in Kenny and 3% up in Kildare. It must be consistent because the business person likes to know what's happening from that perspective. I'm going to talk later on about in the various parts of the thing. Just a couple of quick ideas. There, in my own town in Ace, there's an awful lot of charity shops. Charity shops are paying no rates. A lot of these charity shops are running it as a commercial business. And they have CEOs, Minister, who would be on a greater salary than yourself. Right? And they should be charged rates because they're taking a property available to a small, and it's actually making the town look like a ghost town because there are all these charity shops. The second point I'm going to make, because what you're doing now will probably increase the rate collection. Councils, local authorities should look at putting aside a rainy day fund, because now all those properties or commercial will be as successful as they are now. During the downturn, local authorities came cap in hand to the central funds, which, as we know, will also be suffering as a result of it. So a rainy day fund being set up by local authorities to cater for the time when their rate base has been diluted. Minister, I will be talking on the various stages at committee stage, but as I said earlier on, I do welcome it, and I'm handing over to Senator Riley now.